Alrighty, so today we're going to talk about the last two Sunday games that happened yesterday to finish off match week number 22. And we saw one game that was the crazy game, and the other where the home team kind of dominated for majority of the game and eventually got a much needed 3 points by sealing it late in this one. But let's first talk about the crazy game, which is Austin FC versus the New York Red Bulls. And anytime when the scoreline ends 4-3, there's some crazy things that happen in this one. And really, when you look at how this game is, not only the fact that the Red Bulls play a perfect road game, but they were in for what looked like it was a blowout win against one of the best team in the league on the road. And then Austin kind of make this interesting. And this is not a big surprise because this is the thing that makes Austin good this year, where they have that never say die mentality, and that multiple times this season they have been able to come from behind to either get victory or salvage a draw, and they almost came close to do the unthinkable, down 4-1 at one point in this game to come back to salvage a 4-4 draw. But early on, I thought it was a promising start for the Red Bulls, and they were rewarded with that promising start with Fernandez putting the ball into the back of the net. But the problem is he was in an offside position, and that goal, of course, was disallowed. But it was an early warning sign for Austin. I mean, they were getting outmanned by the Red Bulls press. I mean, this is kind of surprising, the fact that, we know that when the Red Bulls play, what they're going to try to do. They're going to press immediately, and that I'm kind of surprised that not many teams have found a formula to trying to combat that. I mean, I know it's not easy to play against a press, but all you have to do is just kind of play it over the top, or be a little bit more direct with your play. And that time and time this season, we have seen whenever the Red Bulls play, whether at home or even on the road, teams have struggled to face against the Red Bulls press. And that, again, Austin was just getting absolutely outmanned by the press. They couldn't get out of their own half, and not to mention they were very leaky at the back. And I think that's even put it kindly, because my oh my, they would have a turnover barrage in this game in the defensive end, and also not to mention some goalkeeping being howler that was made in this one too, because Andrew Tarbell actually was in net in this one, because Brad Stuver of course was unable to start because of COVID. And I think this game pretty much shows why Andrew Tarbell probably is the reason why he hasn't been starting games, and that Austin probably are desperate in terms of looking for a backup goalkeeper. But in the 12th minute, Edwards fires it high on the free kick before Clark would actually look like score the opening goal for the Red Bulls. But the problem is the goal was disallowed once again for offside, and this time it was a little bit close, but rightfully so to be disallowed for offside. And this all happened because Andrew Tarbell basically spilled this one. I mean, it was a weak shot that he allowed a juicy rebound, which Caden Clark, of course, were able to capitalize. The only problem was that I think he was in an offside position, and that's why for the second time in this game, the Red Bulls were denied of the opening goal of this one. But you kind of just had a sense that, Austin, they were dodging bullet like Neo. Like, the fact that they were playing with so much fire, with either some shocking defensive play and turning the ball over in their own end, and also some poor goalkeeping on Andrew Tarbell's side. You just feel like eventually, with that fire that they've been playing, it's going to burn them. And boy, did it burn them. And it didn't take long for them to get burned, because in the 14th minute, Serge Goma would score from Tolkien to give the Red Bulls a 1-0 lead. And yeah, Andrew Tarbell paid the price this time for another goalkeeping howler. Like, this wasn't really hit strongly from Serge Goma. I mean, it looked like it was right to Tarbell. It looked like it was a routine catch, and inexplicably, Tarbell just spilled it, and it goes into the back of the net. And yeah, like I said, with all those mistakes that Austin has made early in this game, you just feel like they were bound to be paid the price, and they definitely paid the price here, and that the Red Bulls really deserve to be up 1-0 14 minutes in. Now, Tarbell did deny Klimala from long range in the 25th minute, but then in the 26th minute, Drew Yearwood would score to make it 2-0 in favor of the Red Bulls, and it shouldn't be a big surprise that goal probably shouldn't happen if it wasn't for a WTF turnover from Fagundes. Like, he basically just turned the ball over in the own half, and just pretty much almost all the goal the Red Bulls scored in this game came off of turnover and just some bad mistake from the Austin half. And, not only the fact that the Q2 stadium was in stunned silence again, but I think in some way they're probably stunned silence of how bad their defense is. I mean, I know this season, this Austin defense hasn't really been that good, and I think the only reason why the stats doesn't back up the fact that their defense is actually pretty leaky is because Brad Stuver has been bailing this team out. But in this game, they didn't have Brad Stuver, and instead had a backup goalkeeper in Andrew Tarbell, who doesn't seem like he's able to make a save even when his life depends on. And not to mention, I think this is probably the worst defensive display that they had this whole season, with the amount of time they just give the ball away to the Red Bulls. And that, I mean, the Red Bulls they were just being lethal most of the time in terms of punishing those mistakes that Austin had in their back line. Now, the first big opportunity for Los Verdes did came in the 42nd minute, as Felipe just puts it high despite going through on goal. But in the 45th minute, they do get one back. It's Sebastian Giroussi scoring a great volley goal, because Giroussi is going to score a good goal. I mean, this is the reason why Giroussi is considered to be an MVP contender. He, in this game, really carried Austin, and he was trying to will this team to get themselves back into the game after just a very disappointing start. And with that goal, the momentum was definitely with Austin, and they were trying to push for the equalizer. Cascante had a chance to do so on the header, and it goes high from close range, and he won that one back because of the way that he was actually open around the box when he hit that one in. But yeah, we had to halftime with the Red Bulls holding on to a 2-1 lead, but you just kind of said maybe that momentum that Austin has near the end of the first half is going to carry into the second half. Well, unfortunately, it didn't, because in the second half, the Red Bulls would restore that 2-goal lead, as Cameron Harper would score from Yearwood to make it 3-1 in favor of the Red Bulls. And again, it comes off of another brutal giveaway in the own half for Austin, just giving the ball away carelessly. And this time, Cameron Harper, or at least in Drew Yearwood's case, he was a recipient of able to intercept the ball in the Austin half and play a perfect ball to Cameron Harper. And yeah, once again, the Red Bulls punishing Austin for those sloppy mistakes that they made on the defensive end. Though on the other end, Urruti did look to get one back for Austin, but that one struck the post before Cáceres fires it wide from close range, and then Fagundes fires one over the bar. And then in the 65th minute, it was 4-1 in favor of the Red Bulls, and it's Tom Barlow scoring from Harper and Clark. And while this wasn't coming off of a turnover, it was not great defensive play once again for Austin FC. Like, if Tom Barlow score against you, you have serious issue in terms of your defensive front. But like I said before, if there's one thing we know about this Austin team, despite the fact that it looked like this game is out of reach, you don't count them out. And in the 69th minute, guess who scored a goal to get Austin kind of back into this game? Yeah, it's him, Sebastian Giroussi, scoring here from Rain to make it 4-2 in favor of the Red Bulls. It was another amazing goal that Sebastian Giroussi has scored. And then Urruti goes for an acrobatic shot but missed high. But yeah, the momentum was back with Austin. Like, they were ready to try to push for a third goal. Cascante had a chance to do so, but he heads it right to Cornell. But then in the 81st minute, Ethan Finley scoring from Caruso and Giroussi to make it 4-3 in favor of the Red Bulls. So Washington Caruso, of course, coming off the bench, make an instant impact, getting on the assist chart for the first time in his debut. And you can definitely sense Q2 Stadium is rocking again. Like, you can see, if the momentum was with Austin before, it was definitely in Austin favor. And I also feel like MLS After Dark has officially arrived, because this game has turned to a game where it looked like this game was out of reach to now being a game where it looks like the New York Red Bulls are trying to do a That's So Metro kind of moment of blowing a 4-1 lead. And they almost did so just 2 minutes later, if it wasn't for Cornell robbing Cascante on the header. And then on the other end, Tarbell was able to deny Cáceres, and the Red Bulls were trying to maybe kill this game off. I mean, they kind of knew that, yeah, let's just not trying to give Austin more of the possession and trying to continue to put on target practice against their goalkeeper, because that usually means that Austin will eventually find that fourth goal. In fact, as the game goes on, they really did a good job in terms of shutting down the momentum that Austin might have just built on after getting that third goal, and they also were trying to make it 5-3 as Caden Clark puts it wide after, again, another bad turnover from the back line. I mean, that went in, that would have been the story of Austin game in this one. Just way too many bad turnover that most of the time when that happened, they were punished because of it. And like I said, the Red Bulls were looking more likely for the next goal, and Austin, they just could not quite get that sustained pressure after they got that third goal. I mean, they did it for maybe about 3 minutes, but they just couldn't do it continuously to really put the pressure on the Red Bulls and really put them on the ropes. And in the end, despite the fact that the Red Bulls did have to sweat it out a little bit, they were able to win 4-3 in this one. And the shots in this one, 14 shots compared to 13 that the Red Bulls had, 8 shots on goal for the 6 that Austin has, 3 shots off target for the 6 that Austin has. Both teams had 2 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 77% possession compared to just 22% possession that the New York Red Bulls had in this game. But that's the thing about the New York Red Bulls. This is not a team that is about possession. This is a team that likes to press and likes to force turnover. And I would say that, part of why Austin was being very bad in terms of those sloppy giveaway was because of the fact that the Red Bulls were playing a high line at time and was pressing. But there was also time that when I saw those turnover from the Austin back line was mainly because they was just being too casual. And when you do that, I mean, you have no one to blame but yourself. And in this case, Austin really have no one to blame but themselves in terms of losing this one with just so many self-inflicted mistake. And and I will also say that as much as they have shown a lot of resilience this season, and this was another example of it, you can only show that so much resilience before your luck is going to ran out in terms of potentially coming back from a game and salvage a draw, and they weren't able to do so in this one. As what a big win this is for the New York Red Bulls. Like, we know they can do this on the road, and if this is the Red Bulls we can maybe see in the playoffs, this is definitely a dangerous team to face, and maybe could be a dark horse heading into the playoffs with the way that they've been playing this season, which has been very, very good. Now, moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Galaxy versus Atlanta United. And I forgot to mention the desperation derby of the week, because it feels like every week in the preview I mention what is the desperation derby, where, it's a game between two teams that desperately need a win. And I feel like this probably should have been the game, because, this was the game where, both of these teams desperately needed a win, with the way that the Galaxy coming into this game was below the red line, and definitely the team morale and certainly the fan base trust was at an all-time low. And for Atlanta United, even though they did get that big win in the middle of the week, you just kind of sense that they need to have some consistency, and unfortunately they weren't able to find that, because they would end up losing 2-0 against the LA Galaxy. Now, there was a half-hearted shout for a penalty for the Galaxy that was not given early into this game, but then in the 7th minute, Kevin Cabral would score here to give the Galaxy a 1-0 lead, and you are not actually seeing that incorrectly. Kevin Cabral actually scored a goal, and while it was maybe just a simple tap in for him, I mean, knowing the season that Kevin Cabral has had and knowing his career with the LA Galaxy he has, I mean, those tap ins usually look like just a strike from about 25 yards out, or long range effort for Kevin Cabral. It is just amazing how the fact that this is a guy that we know that he has potential to be a decent player, but it's just his finishing product is among some of the worst I've ever seen by a player in MLS. And I think you could also say that tap in that he had, even that is kind of a miracle that he was able to tap in, because we saw so many times he screwed that one up. Though that being said, that tap in probably shouldn't have happened if Rios Novo didn't allow a bad juicy rebound in the back post. And this has been the problem for Rocos Rios Novo, where he's a guy that does allow those juicy rebound when he makes a save, and those are some of the ones that he's definitely going to have to trying to learn to not do, because when you're a goalkeeper and you allow rebound like that, that is a sign that is a goalkeeper that is not very good in terms of their shot stopping skill. And shot stopping is one of the most important skill in a goalkeeper trade, and what makes a goalkeeper's good. And that's definitely a game that I think Rios Novo will have to work on, because in the 13 minutes, he also denied Costa, but again, he did allow a juicy rebound, which the Galaxy wasn't able to capitalize. But there was no doubt the Galaxy was on the front foot, and they were looking for a second goal. Then Bond did deny Cisnero, who tried to round the keeper, as Atlanta almost scored against the run and play. And then Moreno had a free header in the back post that missed just wide. And this also just kind of reminds you that, yeah, this Galaxy team is still very bad in the defensive shape, because they look very suspect, allowing way too much space for Atlanta to operate on the other end. Bond then denied Wiley from close range in the 37th minute, as Atlanta, again, picking up steam, trying to get the equalizer. Though Rios Novo, again, almost caught in no man's land again, but Rivalson couldn't go around him and put that one in. And that was another thing that adds to why Rios Novos did not have a good game in this one. I mean, not only his shot-stopping skill was not good, but he at times made some very interesting and kind of almost boneheaded decision at times to come off his lines either way too late or way too early. And in this case, he came off his lines way too late and get caught in no man's land there. And that, yeah, he's very fortunate that he got away with that. And again, I even wrote Rios Novo is a huge liability for this Atlanta defense. And when your goalkeeper is a huge liability, that is a huge warning sign. But then in the 36th minute, Cabral has a sitter from 5 yards out, and in typical Cabral fashion, he missed that one wide. In fact, he kind of hit that one sideways, which again, this miss from Kevin Cabral pretty much sums up his career with the LA Galaxy, where it is just remarkable of how he is missing some of the most easiest chance that you usually see. Even a defender can do so. I mean, he did score that goal in the 7 minutes, but I know Galaxy fans are ready to get back on the Cabral out kind of train it with the way that he's just single-handedly costing this team points because of some of the worst miss that he has during his career with the Galaxy. But like I said, the Galaxy were dominating this game, but will the inability to get that second goal come back to haunt them? Well, at least that wasn't the case in the end of the first half, as they were able to lead 1-0 in this game. Now, in the second half, Araujo did try to chip it over Bond, but that one goes high. Now, there was actually an interesting case throughout this game where, Araujo and Araujo was actually, there was Araujo basically attacking in Araujo half, and I think there was a couple of times John Strong even mentioned about how, both of these guys has the same last name, but it's just kind of pronounced differently, because I think the Portuguese pronunciation, or at least the Brazilian Portuguese pronunciation of Luis Araujo is basically that, and the Spanish pronunciation with Julian Araujo, of course, is that. But that's kind of interesting that of course is the case, where you have the two Araujos, but one of them is pronouncing differently against the guy that has the same name. So that also kind of maybe confused me a little bit, which is why I probably should have put El Araujo whenever I have a situation where maybe they're both of these team, or even on the same team, there's the same last name. But here in the 54th minute, Araujo then pulls it wide for Atlanta, and Atlanta has come out this this second half as the stronger side. Amada then puts a dangerous cross, which two Atlanta player was trying to tap it in, but couldn't do so. And then Bond denying Araujo, as the Galaxy looked like they were on the ropes. Like, they just could not get out of their own half and was soaking a tons of pressure. And this is where I go back to what I said, how, the inability of getting that second goal. Will they come back to haunt them? Because Atlanta is trying to push for that equalizer. Though Cabral did miss one from a difficult angle, because of course he would. Amada then pulls it wide from 22 yards out there. And there was a huge shout for a penalty for the Galaxy, as it feels like Chicharito was brought down in the box. And when you look on the replay, I think Stu Holden kind of mentioned a couple of times that I don't think there was really much into that one, and maybe one of the Atlanta defenders actually got the ball there. And in some way, I do agree with him. I think, there wasn't really much involved in that, and that, they did check VAR for that to see whether or not if that indeed was a penalty. And in the end, they said no, to play on, to the dismay of those Galaxy players and certainly the supporters. But as the game winds down, it just feels like this game was up for grabs. Like, there could be a goal in this game, as both of these teams were bringing attacking sub and was chasing for that next goal. Grandsir had a big opportunity to get the next goal, and he was in on goal there, but was denied by Rios Novo. And as the time winds down, I thought, with Atlanta continuing to push man forward, that means that the Galaxy are going to try to counter and explore that space. And some of those opportunities that they had really came from the counterattack because of the fact that Atlanta was committing so many man forward. There was just so much space for the Galaxy to exploit. But then in the 5th minute of stoppage time, the Galaxy finally killed the game up and put this game on ice. And who else but Dejan Joveljic continued to make his case that he should be a starter in this team. I mean, I know Greg Vanny had repeatedly said that the reason why he keep Joveljic on the bench is because he fits better as a super sub. And while Joveljic is probably the best super sub right now in MLS, you gotta say that eventually he definitely deserved his shot to be a starter, and that you don't put a guy that have scored 9 goals in 620 minutes and not actually get him a start, because there was time where in the struggles that the Galaxy has had in these last couple of games, Dejan Joveljic was the only guy that can score the goals for you. And if you have a guy that can only score the goal for you, then why don't you just play him from minute 1? Like the only reason why Joveljic is carrying this team and that the Galaxy have repeatedly lost is because most of those goals that Joveljic scored came in the second half when they was already trailing. So yeah, again, it feel like they eventually, I get the whole super sub role, and I guess he can make an impact coming off the bench, but it's getting to a point where you need to start thinking about starting him, and maybe he will be able to score an early goal where the Galaxy don't have to find a situation where they have to bring a guy like Joveljic, just maybe get 1 back or get 2 back to make things interesting. But yeah, he scored here from Vasquez to give the Galaxy 2-0 lead, and that would be the final score of this game. As the shots in this one, 10 shots compared to 12 that Atlanta has, 6 shots on goal compared to 3 that Atlanta has, 6 shots off target compared to 3 that Atlanta has, 3 shots that was blocked compared to 1 Atlanta has, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that the Galaxy has had. And for the Galaxy, they're back above the red line with this win. But for Atlanta United, again, the inconsistency can continue, and if this is going to be a team that is looking to make it to the playoffs, they cannot have these kind of run of form where they being very inconsistent and aren't able to pick up wins against a team that is clearly struggling right now. That is the LA Galaxy. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of these 2 games and review of the final 2 game of match week number 22. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of both of these games? And for the midweek action, we don't have any MLS games this midweek, but certainly there's some big games that's happening in the middle of the weeks with the Canadian Championship between Toronto versus Vancouver, which I might do a review on that one. Usually I don't pay too much attention to the Canadian Championship, but maybe this is one that I might do so if I actually can find a stream on that, because I don't know if that is actually going to be on ESPN Plus. And then, not to mention, we also got the US Open Cup semifinal, and I'm actually going to one of them between Sacramento versus Sporting KC, and I am absolutely buzzing about that game, because that is a game where I could potentially see history of seeing the first ever non-MLS team reach the US Open Cup final, and Sacramento continue the quest of becoming the first MLS team to win the US Open Cup since Rochester Rhino was the last non-MLS team to do it all the way back in 1999. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time with